How Long Gone? It's a beautiful Tuesday in New York. Jason, I know you're upset that it's not quite the same in LA, and I'm sorry to hear that.
Are you? I mean, it is weird that I'm living in Surf City, USA, and it's 13 degrees colder here than it is in New York right now. What's up with that, bro? Obviously, I'm talking to God when I say what's up with that, bro, and not you.
I often refer to God as bro if I think about if I can.
If you can name more of a bro than God,
that's actually a good point. He's a long-haired, bearded guy with muscles. That's kind of a bro, if you think about it.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out here. I'm fully recovered from Coachella weekend 2. I'm probably in better shape. Yesterday I was looking like Justin, and now today I'm back on track.
Justin, that video of Justin watching DJ Mustard while a guy holds him up, is all joking aside concerning. You know what I mean? It's it's pretty extreme.
I would say the Justin market is very volatile. I remember just 1 or 2 episodes ago, I was talking about how I was bullish on on Justin in general.
Yes,
he's doing cool stuff, hanging out with cool people, and doing cool clothes and riding cool all-terrain vehicles. And now he's kind of, when you're watching the news and you see a guy who got pulled out of rubble, he'd been trapped under a building for 3 weeks and he's just living off of cockroaches.
That is kind of the look.
He's he's kind of given that a little bit. He kind of looks like a character from one of Larry David's op-eds. You know what I mean?
I didn't have a chance to read that, but I'm sure it's hilarious.
I listened to it on my walk this morning. It's kind of what you would expect, a funny guy who's old to write about, I like that Larry is not hiding and he's not mincing his words about his allegiances. And I'm sure that makes Cheryl very, very upset and very uncomfortable.
I'm sure it's, the curmudgeon thing, I kind of get. I get it, dude. You're mad at everything. Everything annoys you. I'm kind of we've dealt with that for 20 years. This is particularly easy to make fun of, and should be made fun of.
I mean, I agree. I think everyone agrees with him. It may be a little bit of a stretch comparing, going to dinner with Trump as going to dinner with Hitler. Some people might agree, some people might disagree, but I think that's kind of what the gist of it is, of getting into the mind of somebody who's justifying hanging out with potentially the person who's going to end our planet in a number of different ways, as because it's LOL and because it's funny and he eats McDonald's for the bit kind of thing.
Because the KFC was good. That's why he had a 12-piece bucket, biscuits. He has some potato wedges. Things are looking good.
Trump is definitely eating better than Hitler. That's smart money right there.
That is. I'll take that bet. It just seems too easy for Larry, but I guess that's the whole point. If you're Larry, you can call whoever you want and say, I want to shit on something in a funny way, and they're going to let you. And I can't blame him for exercising that.
Yeah, one day, Chris, you'll get there. We'll see how the book number 2 goes, but I think one day you'll be able to fire up that Google Doc, get it out there, run it through Grammarly for the spelling, and tick out some of those M dashes that ChatGPT added, and make a couple calls and say, I want this to be in tomorrow's issue. And I think it could get done as long as it's good enough, right?
I don't think it matters if it's good enough if you're Larry David. I think that's my whole point. I think it's
well, I was talking about you.
Larry David could fart and somebody will say it's genius. You know what I mean? He's he's at that level, I think, where anything he does is beloved, which is, I'm fine with him, but I
would say he earned his stripes though to
I
get
agree.
to that level.
He's cooler than Jerry Seinfeld, and he's kind of eclipsed him in a lot of ways as Seinfeld deteriorates.
I would say so. Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Which is that is things like the world writing itself in some ways.
The world is also writing about Kanye West. He has a new song and a new sort of creative direction.
Thank you to my dog, Dave Blunts. Dave Blunts all over that shit.
Well, I'm talking about one specific song called Cousin.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar. I also
I know that he's been in the lab with fat ass Dave Blunts recording World War III or whatever.
I think Dave Blunts produced this song or worked on this song that is on World War III, is my understanding.
I just can't imagine Dave Blunt's working on anything except a little 6-piece.
I mean, I think he's working on it seated. It's not like he's not got the shovel out or anything. He's kind of keeping it.
The shovel.
Straight. He's keeping it. But I mean, it's a pretty good song, I have to say. I mean, I don't love the source material, obviously, but artists are inspired by what they're inspired by, Jason.
I guess. I mean, when you say you don't love it, obviously, why would that be so obvious? Because I think that Kanye saying that he sucked his cousin's dick until he was 14 was the first correct thing Kanye has said in months, probably.
I don't know if correct is the word I would use. Maybe truthful is the better word. But I mean, I just don't know how much further this guy can take it. I believe that to be true. Like, I believe everything he's saying. Like, 100% believe it's true.
Well, when I say correct, I mean, it's like when, two people are negotiating and one person is trying to get the other person to just, like, be a human being. It could be a therapist. It could be a watch deal, on TikTok Marketplace, whatever it is. But as soon as one person says something that isn't just like a tantrum, hissy fit, weird reaction, an honest proclamation, he's doing the right. He's making, it's like the first step in the right direction. That Kanye, I mean, but it's also very too little too late. It's like
if he led
Hitler donating to PETA.
If he led with this, he would be in a better place. But he's waited for years, literally years. But I mean,
so Chris Black says too little too late. Kanye
to I mean, I've never been a Kanye apologist. I don't get it. Like, I think it's been mid for a long time. But I mean,
sure.
I will say the Trauma did make a better song than he's made in years. So, what does that say? Who knows? Who's to judge?
I mean, I guess I'm also hoping that if he's sort of become the edgelord messiah over the last few years, and people like to brag about how they listen to new Kanye because they think it's dope or whatever. I think that him becoming a role model for these edgelord people and these school shooters to, instead of shooting your teacher with an AR-15, maybe you could talk about how your cousin made you suck his dick until you're 14, and the healing can begin. You know what I mean?
The healing can begin. I once again, I wish to never hear from him. But if we're going to hear from him, at least this is pretty extreme.
It is very extreme.
That's kind of how I look at it. At least there's a nice spike. You know what I'm saying? At least it's a nice spike. Last night I went to a show at a church in Greenpoint.
Oh yeah, Cameron Winter?
Yeah, it was I didn't realize like how real of a church. This is like a regular ass church. You know what I mean? Like it like
what's the difference between a church and a regular ass church?
I'm just saying I think people now think of churches as something like more modern and Hillsong-y. You know what I mean? But like the reality is like most churches are old and have hard pews. You know what I mean? And there's no like streetwear in sight.
So you went to a vintage church? Is that what you're saying?
I went to an original church, but
dead stock.
He played for 4. It was kind of the perfect show. He's set up on stage. It's just him and a piano. He plays for 40 minutes. Then he gets up and comes up to the balcony where we're standing, and there's a church organ there, and he plays a song on the organ. And then the show is over in under an hour. It was kind of the perfect live music experience, I have to say.
Everything that so 40 minutes, just him and a regular piano, and then one song on the organ.
He finishes on the organ, yeah.
Wow, that's like Zed bringing out John Mayer to do the Severance theme song. Just like what a crescendo moment.
Playing that kind of organ looked very hard.
Yeah, obviously it sounds very powerful because it has these physical pipes going all the way up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
But I don't know how hard or how much more difficult it is than just playing a regular piano, because I think it's
2 levels and it's a lot of foot stuff. From what I could tell. The one thing about Cameron Winter that's funny is that
it's like getting into a Diddy party. Well, there's 2 levels and there's going to be a lot of foot stuff. So sign here and I need your phone.
He was wearing somehow pulling this off, even though this is one of my rules. He was wearing kind of beat up Jordans in like a high school student kind of way. But they were.
Are you able to identify what Jordan?
I think it's a Jordan 11, maybe. I think I don't. I try not to know this stuff, but Yeah, it was actually. Damn, I'm good. A Jordan 11, but in like a white with kind of an ice blue. On the instead of red
That's nice.
or black, but yeah, it was.
I wish OG Luke was here right now.
Oh, he knows.
He would be able to identify. But yeah, so he's got the Edgars, the Jordan 11 Edgars. Those are the kinds of shoes that you wear when you get beat up at lunch.
I don't know anything about Jordan culture, so I don't know if those are the right ones or the wrong ones. But it was a funny part of the look, I would say.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best. It's one of the best things I've seen in a long time. It was like very impressive.
Did he do the song where he sounds like Julian Casablancas?
I don't know what song that is.
Neither do I.
Julian Casablancas doesn't make good music, so I don't know. I don't know how that would be comparable.
You got to check out the Strokes though, not his solo stuff.
His solo stuff is like it's crazy it exists. It's that I think it's that bad. I think it's that bad.
No comment, I suppose, on that one. But yeah, it is a pet project. A place for him to. Explore.
It's a place for him to spend a lot of money on a full-time band that he doesn't need.
Well, guess what he's got?
Nothing but money.
A lot of money.
Nothing but money. All right, our guest today is Nate Amos. He is in a band called Water From Your Eyes, but he also put out a great solo album. This Is Lorelei is the name of the band. And from what I can tell, he's a damn freak, so I can't wait to get into it with him.
Yeah. Check him out on Bandcamp. Box for Buddy, Deluxe Edition is out very soon.
Deluxe Edition.
Featuring How Long Gone alumni, MJ Lenderman, Snail Mail, the list goes on. Actually, that's pretty much where the list stops. Let's give Nate a call.
What's up, bro? You have headphones? What's going on, bro?
I'm chilling. I moved yesterday, so I'm in like a half moved in room right now. It's pretty exciting.
Okay, so you're in a halfway house. This is a move. You moved from which neighborhood in Ridgewood to which neighborhood in Ridgewood?
I actually moved back to Bed Stuy.
Okay, so you're okay. What from Ridgewood though? I wasn't wrong, right?
No, you were right.
Okay, for Nate, sorry to interrupt. For our listeners at home who are not familiar with the 5 boroughs, is that considered a lateral move, or is that moving on up or moving on down, going from Ridge to Bed Stuy?
Geographically?
No.
Financially.
Rentally.
I'm saving a lot of money by moving here. Yeah.
Really? I thought Bed Stuy was a place where white people go to buy brownstones, but you're saying that Ridgewood has been populated by so many Bushwick types that the prices are up.
I mean, Ridgewood is kind of essentially Bushwick. Like, okay. I mean, I could jog to Bushwick in less than 2 minutes from my old house. Like I wasn't like deep Ridgewood or anything. It was
you can get there faster on foot than an Uber. That's how close you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I've said this before. I've said this before on How Long Gone, but I don't think I've ever been to Ridgewood. And I don't know, and that's not even like I'm saying I'm too cool. I just think I'm too old.
I mean, there's a lot of good food. Okay, I think that's the thing I'm going to miss.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The most better.
Okay, so Bed Stuy is going to have less options for you food wise.
There are good options, but I lived like almost directly above one of my favorite restaurants in the city.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's.
Let's get into it, Nate. I'm a food lover.
What is this? Yeah. What is this restaurant, and what were they offering that you loved so much?
It's Cachapa Mas. It's like Venezuelan street food.
Whoa,
Cachapa Mas? You said?
Emos?
Oh, Emos. I think it's CMOS.
Jason, that's like embarrassing as a Spanish speaker.
I mean, it's like yes.
No, the Zoom connection is a little small. It's muy mal.
All right, so what is?
Siento, Mr. Chris.
I'm not familiar with Venezuelan food, and I'm sure Jason is to some extent. But what are the hits?
I mean, cachapa is kind of like as I understand it, a big like sweet corn pancake.
Oh.
With whatever you want inside, like flipped in half.
That sounds pretty good.
It's really fucking.
Do you dip that in a sauce?
No, they got the sauce is kind of like the sauce is the sauce at that place, you know. It's like
sure.
Chris, think of it as like an arepa. It's like a pancake quesadilla.
So what are you putting inside of your sweet corn pancake?
Usually like steak and fried cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. I mean, that does sound. I mean,
it's pretty awesome.
That kind of sounds hard to fuck up. I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any sides? Are there some like potatoes to get your starch up?
Some plantains, some black beans.
Yeah, they definitely got sides there. I'm usually in and out. I realized like I was actually just explaining this to someone, talking about why I'm going to miss this place. Like getting the cachapa, it's like a little more food than I actually need to eat, but it's like exactly the amount of food that I want to eat.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's a sweet spot. That's
Nate, you are a songwriter because that was a lyrical. That was a bar that you just dropped.
That was bars. Yeah, that was.
No, I mean I've mentioned this. There's a famous Louis C.K. quote about eating. You don't stop when you're full. You stop when you hate yourself. Yeah. And it's a little bit of like that. I'm always walking that line of like, this is how much you want, and this is how much you should have. And then there's also the fear of not having enough, which usually makes you order a little more than you need. You know what I mean?
True. And then you have to eat it.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to eat it. You don't want to be
If you don't get the tostones on the side, then maybe the cachapa might, then you're gonna, then what? Now we're getting ice cream on the way home, and my whole diet shot.
What is the okay? So Bed Stuy.
So you're gonna go up to Bed Stuy. We're gonna get chopped cheese instead. Now is that what's gonna go now?
Yeah, like probably a lot of chicken over rice
from the boss man.
Yeah,
you're really diet focused. I mean, this. You're really
it's funny because I'm actually I didn't just move back to Bed Stuy. I actually moved back into the house that I lived in for years, but I'm taking over more of it now.
Okay.
I used to have there used to be a bunch of people in this house, and now there aren't as many anymore.
So you're kicking out the squatters now that the album's starting to do pretty good, huh? Best new music, all you bitches get out of here.
I got too much gear now. I need multiple rooms.
No, it's more I'm moving back into the room that all that stuff got made in. It felt like so it's actually
really
which is kind of funny. I'm curious to see what sort of vibe, because it was weird after I moved. I did find like I kind of like missed it a little bit. It's it's like full of like ghosts and ideas and shit,
Yeah, no, I mean that kind of sometimes you got to return to the scene of the crime, that's just what it is.
Do you know any history? Do you know the Carfax on this house? Did anybody cool live there before? Any ghost tales?
So I got a couple anecdotes. So
lay it on me.
For a long time, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but it was showing up on Google Maps as Russian hostel. And apparently this used to be kind of like a scam hostel where people would show up thinking they booked a room, and what they actually would get was just a space on the floor with like 10 other people in what is now my bedroom.
Wow.
Whoa.
So if these walls could talk, they would say call 911 in Russian?
Yeah, it's strange. My door frame is metal and has a big clip for a padlock on it, so I don't know what that means.
Say no more,
so you're
brother.
you're back in the Russian insane asylum, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like a lot of ghosts in here.
Damn, that's actually pretty crazy. I didn't know where that was going, but that's like a pretty wild twist, I would say, on the dwelling.
So you were like, okay, I used to live in a scammer Russian hostel where they'd sleep 14 head to foot in a room with a metal door and a padded lock. You know what? Tour's over. I can't wait to get back there. Let's move all my stuff back into back into the eye of the storm, the center of pain and hell. But if it works, it works, huh? Did you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Like, what did you feel like a spiritual energy pulling you back there? And if so, was it dark or was it light or neutral?
I mean, it's been something that's been on my mind regardless. And if anything, it's kind of like because I was here for a long time and I made a lot of music here, but it was like a much a rougher period of time. So it's almost more about like conquering and transforming what the space means to me.
You're coming back to show the space who's boss.
The house is proud of you, and you could feel that in the bones.
I could come back and be like, "I told you so."
Yes. I love
and then the house is like, what if you started doing drugs again, Nate? Remember how good that was? Remember how good those songs were?
I like that. I like the idea of you and the inanimate object in conversation about kind of where you are in life.
Yeah.
I think that's super healthy.
Hopefully I'll be able to pull it all off without like talking to my room again.
Yeah, let's hope.
Like,
so how many people were there? How many people were there the first time, and now how many people are there now?
I lived here with 4 other people.
Okay.
The person that I moved here with, like a very dear old friend of mine, and his partner downstairs, and me and my partner Al, who plays live in Lorelei and More From Your Eyes, upstairs.
Okay.
So it'll be 4 of us, but it's like 2 couples, so it leads.
So we're going Love Island mode in Bed Stuy.
Yeah.
I see where this is going.
Okay, we got 2 couples. I can only imagine how many water bottles, coffee setups, filtration systems. What's going? Are we fighting over the pour over? Is there an espresso thing? Is there a matcha ceremony?
It's kind of a free for all. I was just okay. So here's the thing. This house is also this house has grown. It's grown up since the last time I was here. A lot of the walls have been painted, and the furniture is nicer.
They got paint on the walls now, babies.
There's a bunch of coffee shit that I don't understand.
Okay. There's some tech shit in there that you're a little anti. So are you making coffee, or do you zip down to the bodega for a little light and sweet?
I'm a bodega guy. I'm kind of just like a sugar-free monster person these days.
Oh.
But they didn't have it, so I'm drinking a yerba mate today.
Okay, sugar-free monster.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, calling yourself a sugar-free monster guy, you're talking about the energy drink Monster, and not you. You are not a sugar-free monster. Like,
as a person.
When I don't get my chocolate, I turn into a fucking monster. It's not like that.
No.
Don't talk to me until I've had my nerds rope.
My nerds rope. Yeah, no.
Okay, I saw you post a photo on your Instagram of the can of White Monster, and then just yesterday I was at Home Depot, and at the checkout line, there's like whatever, tape, and cleaning supplies, and then White Monster. And I was starting to feel like Home Depot probably sells more White Monster than any other store in America.
Wow, that is actually interesting. I think
it's the best one.
America runs on Monster. So what I wanted to ask you about the tasting notes about this White Monster.
Yeah, what I want to know what white flavor is, because
sometimes if you get one of them, sometimes they have this spiel on the side that says, like, the Monster girls asked and we answered. They wanted a new drink with a lighter flavor and no sugar that still packs all the punch.
Got it.
So I'm like a White Monster girl, essentially.
Okay, so I think I pulled this up. Let me open image in a new tab so I can just get a zoom in. Some people are impossible to please. As soon as they get what they thought they wanted, they always want more. Our team writers and Monster girls are no different. They've been dropping some hints lately. They've been asking us for a new Monster drink, a little less sweet, lighter tasting, 0 sugar, but with a full load of our Monster blend. Sure, white is the new black. We want all our Monster Energy Ultra. Unleash the Ultra Beast.
The Ultra Beast. Okay.
Okay, so you and the girls
demanded,
and they answered.
Yeah.
All of this being said, and that was a beautiful. Jason, thank you for that reading. It was beautiful, and Nate, you did a good job, kind of summarizing it.
Yeah, Nate.
I kind of got the gist.
I've still, after all of this information that I've downloaded from the Monster can, I still don't know what it tastes like.
It tastes like Ultra.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say it feels like the Michelob Ultra of Monster.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but would you say fruity? Would you say cola-esque? Would you say, like, what is the over, like the
You can't ask a man to describe what a Monster tastes like, Chris. It's different for everyone.
I don't think that's true.
It's different. I'm comfortable saying it's definitely not cola-esque.
Okay.
yeah, we can do that.
Well, when I was in Durham over the weekend, I didn't know, Jason, did you know that La Croix makes a cola flavor?
I think I did. Yeah, it's rare though. Might be only available in certain parts of America.
It's like red, white, and blue packaging. It's kind of patriotic, which makes sense, I guess, for a cola flavor. But I didn't try one. I just
asked ChatGPT what Monster Energy drink tastes like. It has a citrusy, slightly syrupy soda with a bold, sweet tang.
Okay. Nate, how many are we taking to the dome per day?
Sometimes 2. I try not to like make it. I mean, so I like that's something that really didn't go away when I stopped drinking. Is I'm still just like I'm a beverage guy. I like kind of like like I drink like a fucked up amount of Gatorade.
Okay. All right. So you're but kind of like whatever is in front of you, or Gatorade and Monster.
It can be whatever. I kind of.
Are you a little bit of a anything but water kind of drinker, Nate?
No, I try. Okay. I drink a lot of water too.
Good. Good. Just want to check.
I've actually been kind of for the first time ever, I had a diet Dr. Pepper because there was a whole scene about it, and I watched this like fucked up show that I'd never heard of before called Preacher. Do y'all know about this show? It's okay. It's like a
no,
like kind of like this crazy superhero thing with this like god energy that starts inhabiting preachers, and then they all just like explode in front of their congregation, and it goes into this one dude, but it doesn't kill him.
So he becomes like a super pastor.
Yeah, but it's like super weird. There's this whole thing with like God being this kind of like disgruntled, pissed off dude who's just fed up, and he like drinks a diet Dr. Pepper. He's like, well, at least I got one fucking thing right.
So God on Preacher, the character of God hates everything except diet Dr. Pepper.
Except diet Dr. Pepper. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good endorsement, I guess, for trying it.
Yeah. So I tried it. I have one every once in a while. I feel like it's got to be out of a can though. I'm not about sodas in plastic bottles. It never quite works.
I agree with you. I've never had a diet Dr. Pepper. Jason, I'm sure you have.
I think I have. I know it's like sort of it's become like
it's a little bit of a
cult favorite thing. Yeah. I mean, I like to do a fountain Coca-Cola with a splash of Dr. Pepper right on top.
Nice.
Just enough, you know what I mean?
What makes the DP? What is the flavor note of the DP that separates it from Coke? Like what?
Chris. That's like asking Coca-Cola to divulge their secret recipe.
No. Well, but it's they made a big deal about the number though, because it's like it's a blend of 23 different flavors or something.
Okay.
I feel like it got leaked at some point or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there are 20. Yeah, it's cola, cherry, licorice, amaretto, vanilla, blackberry, apricot.
Maybe it's the cherry. Yeah. Maybe it's the cherry though, because it does. I haven't had a Dr. Pepper in probably 15 years.
Sarsaparilla, plum. It's all over the place, but it's the ratio. There's also something called prickly ash, as well as juniper, birch, and coriander and allspice. It's all over the place. But there's like scientists on TikTok that will take like Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, and they'll reverse engineer the molecular structure of it to find out exactly what the ratios are, which feels a little dangerous if you're big cola, right?
Oh yeah, that's no. Somebody is gonna in a red shirt is gonna knock on your door late at night, and you're gonna disappear if you.
I mean, it's sort of like to bring it back to music. It's like how AI can just take your album and then separate every single instrument perfectly, and then somebody can just take your drum hits and your bass tones and your everything and then just make new music out of it, right?
I guess you could.
I do it every day to you.
Yeah, you do it. Okay.
I have a Nate sample pack if you want it. Waves or apes, whatever you want.
I'd love it. I can use some new sounds.
It's like that would make my life a lot easier, actually, if you could just send that to me. I'd save me some time.
At least they'd be all in one folder.
Yeah.
On my computer.
Yeah, you just need a secretary to manage all of your samples, right?
Exactly.
Are you not super organized with your files, bro?
I'm like I'm pretty bad about it.
He's getting better.
I like the really fucked up AI tools, like the old ones from the stem separators from like 4 years ago that are still online for some reason. They work really badly.
What do you like about them?
I haven't used them that much, but I like misusing online tools like that. Like there's some really amazing, like horrible audio to MIDI generators that will just turn anything into a fucking nightmare.
I know what you mean.
And just for fun.
But the stem splitting thing is fun, but I don't have my ideas get like way too extreme too quickly. Every once in a while it's worth it. I think it's the only public thing on my SoundCloud is a mashup I made. It's just the vocals from Heroin by the Velvet Underground over the music from Brick by Ben Folds 5. And it's like, honestly,
I can see that working.
It works so well, but it's like so cursed and it sounds really fucked up because I use this like horrible website trying to do it. But I don't think I should be let anywhere near stem splitters. It just seems like a slippery slope.
Keep this guy away from the stem splitters.
It feels like a new union now.
It does feel like a union.
Local 43 stem splitters.
Yeah, it really does sound like a union.
It's a plumbing thing.
But I'm gonna try for the kingdom if I can, 'cause it makes me feel like I'm a man. When I put a spike into my vein, and I tell you things aren't quite the same. When I'm rushing on my run, and I feel just like Jesus' son.
We talk a lot about fitness on How Long Gone. I was reading about your kind of fitness journey, and I have to say I was very impressed by your sort of diligence when it comes to body weight workouts.
I mean, it got really crazy for a little while. I wish I could get back on that tip. For what it's worth, it wasn't particularly healthy.
Sure.
It was like a but yeah, it was crazy. I ended up getting to a point where I could just kind of indefinitely do push-ups for like the whole thing started because I was trying to stop smoking weed.
Get off the gas.
Yeah, get off the gas.
Trying to get off the gas.
And at that point, I'd been like away from other stuff for like a full year, but weed was the thing. I was like, I gotta just like raw dog
the
like
final boss.
And so every time I like wanted to smoke weed, I would just light a cigarette and force myself to do push-ups to the best of my ability until I'd smoked the entire cigarette.
Okay, so you got to the point where you could do push-ups indefinitely, which is already an amazing feat.
Or at least like, long enough for me to get bored and just like, I would get bored before I got
You could
tired.
do hundreds and hundreds of them in a row.
See, that implies that I can avoid getting bored that easily. Okay. I don't think I ever really like tried to take it beyond like 70 at a time or something.
Yeah,
but I would do that like
fair.
I would do that like every couple hours or something.
The average person cannot come close to doing 10. So you've already, but
when I started,
but you're saying you're doing this with a cigarette in your mouth?
Yeah, that was my reward system.
I
could if I was actively working out, I would smoke a cigarette, but no weed. I mean, I guess I was also smoking cigarettes otherwise, but I was like,
but I'm trying to understand. You're on the ground doing the push-ups, cigarette in mouth.
Yeah, little pile of ash on the floor at the end. Sweep it up.
Okay, and then Chris is a big workout guy, and his trainer named Hunter. He'll probably tell Chris to get into his breathing and inhale and then exhale when you're pushing out.
Yeah.
So how were you managing your breath work while you had the Camel Crush dangling from your lips?
I mean, just like a lot of sweating and cursing and general anger.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I wasn't thinking about breathing that much.
I need to do anything except smoke weed, so I'm just gonna go loco right now.
Yeah, it was that.
It's beautiful.
I was doing push-ups and crunches, and then I would watch TV and lift guitars because I didn't have weights or anything.
What?
So
okay, but.
I was watching this show called The Bridge, like a FX show about it's like a crime show, and I would just sit there and like.
So we got The Preacher, we got Bridge, and we're doing Lenny Kravitz workouts, like when he's lifting the coconuts and shit. But you're doing it with a.
You got the Paul Reed Smith on the left and the SG on the right. Like, what are we talking about?
No, we're talking. I mean, I only had one bass and one electric guitar at this point. So I have like this old Fender Mustang that I've had since I was a small child. It's like beat to shit. And Gibson Les Paul tribute from like 2019.
Les Paul feels heavy.
They're both pretty heavy. I don't know exactly how
they're both pretty heavy for a guitar, but they both
not for a weight.
They weigh under 10 pounds, you guys. This is like 6 to 8 pounds.
Yeah, we're talking. I was probably like 8 pounds. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so you're doing 7.5 curls, but you would do like hundreds of them.
Yeah, I would kind of just like do them until I felt like I really needed to stop, and then I would just begin again like an hour later.
I feel like if shit ever went south and you had to do a little jail time, I think you'd be just fine. I think you'd be A-okay in there.
I think I could at the very least, I think I'd be in better shape. The thing is all it took was me going on tour one time and all these patterns just straight up disappeared. I haven't done a fucking push-up since that summer, pretty much.
Do you think you can get back into it, or do you think this was a one-time?
I think I could get back into it if I just.
That's why he moved back to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a much better shape when I lived here.
Well, do you notice a difference in the way your body looks now and then when you were doing 500 push-ups a day and 1,000 crunches? Yeah,
definitely.
Definitely did. Your body definitely looked better when you were doing 1,500 crunches a day?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I.
But were you buff though? I can't really
I wasn't
picture
like
you being.
I wasn't like jacked, and this whole period was like it lasted like it went away after like 3 months. So I mostly just like got in shape, and I was way better at carrying heavy shit for like a couple months afterwards.
Right. You're loading base cabs, no problem.
Yeah,
2 at a time.
Yeah. Okay. And now I moved yesterday, and I realized like I was like, man, this is like way harder than last time.
You lost
because
we've atrophied.
I'm weak again.
I mean,
you're learning about life.
But it got you. I mean, so you stopped smoking weed?
Yeah, I stopped smoking weed for like a year and a half.
Oh, but you're back.
Yeah, I smoke weed sometimes now. I mean, like smoking weed, that was never something that I was like, I want to stop this forever, which is very much like my attitude towards like hard drugs and alcohol. But weed, I was just kind of like, I feel like I got to just like go like totally sober for at least a year.
Okay.
Just so it's kind of like,
shake it.
Yeah, it was like a level 2 after quitting drinking, kind of just to see if I could.
Were you getting fucked up before you got on stage?
Yeah, I mean, always back in the day. Yeah. I mean, I like for a long time, I was just like always drunk, pretty much. Like,
really?
Yeah. No, I was like, in hindsight, it's baffling to me that because I was really functional. Like, it took a long time for it to get to a point where I like obviously like needed help. But
did somebody step in, or did you saw the writing on the wall?
I got dragged to a doctor by a friend.
Okay,
and the doctor was just like, dude, like this is not good at all. Like things are going to begin looking real bleak real quick if you don't make some serious changes.
I know that you said you're very prolific. Like I was looking at your Bandcamp. So like during this time, how many songs did you release on Bandcamp while you were drunk every day?
Oh, I mean, everything on Bandcamp that came out. I'll tell you, the most recent Lorelei album is the only Lorelei release or Water From Your Eyes release that falls outside of that grouping. Since when like 2018, 2019.
But in those 2 years of being drunk every day all the time, you released hundreds of songs.
Yeah, I was way more productive than I am now.
Which is the scariest way to be a drunk or a drug addict.
Well, that was the thing, is it was
it's not hurting it.
Yeah, no, I mean it didn't hurt anything until it began to like,
except the inside of your body and your mind.
It became like a physical health thing at a certain point. But yeah, it's actually like really crazy to listen to stuff from that time period, because I just straight up like, I remember making maybe like 10% of those songs.
But are you like, damn, some of this shit rocks, I'm a genius? Or are you like, wow, this is sloppy as fuck, what was I doing?
It goes back and forth. Sometimes I'll hear something, I'm just like, fuck, like how did I do that? And how how can I do something like that again? And sometimes I was just like something, and I'm like, yeah, like this one probably could have just been cut or whatever.
Sure,
but part of part of the concept with Lorelei for a long time was for it to be like largely unedited. You know, that was part of the working process, and there was still like there's stuff that never came out
unedited from like a like total songs standpoint, or like
every album would essentially be like, okay, I'm gonna like spend like 2.5 weeks just making as much music as I can, and it's all gonna come out as like part of this thing.
That's an interesting approach.
I mean, it was nice because it took out a lot of the worrying about it. I feel like I could put together a hell of a compilation, but there's definitely some shit out there that I feel neutral at best about. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's anyone with any output is going to feel neutral at best about some of the product. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's very true.
They don't remember the stinkers. You know, the Beatles wrote more bad songs than good, but no one ever cares, right?
You think
Same
so?
For the Stones, the list goes on.
Yeah, it goes on.
I mean, maybe more Stones than Beatles, but you know, for bands like that who have, you know,
yeah, totally,
they recorded thousands and thousands of songs. Most of them are going to be stinkers.
Well, and it used to be
compared to their big shit. You know?
It used to be so much harder to record.
Yeah.
Also, and now it's kind of thing like you can have like a horrible idea and then it's like reality within like an hour.
Well, you just described every podcast that starts as well.
Yeah, that's the perfect podcast description.
But I mean, that's the age-old debate of like, yes, it's awesome. Every genius kid, you know, every Skrillex in the middle of nowhere can become a superstar. But then the problem is every other person who is not even close to being Skrillex, we have to listen to their shit, watch their horrible short film, listen to their awful podcast, whatever it might be. But you're one of the good ones, Nate. Don't worry. You're both prolific, but the shit is actually good. So like for this,
thank you,
for the album that's going to come out, the deluxe version of the album.
Yeah.
It's got what, like 30 songs on it or something like that? Like how many songs are on that album?
I wish there are only 3 extra songs on it.
Well, I mean total for the whole record.
Yeah, it's probably like 30, right?
No, it's like 13. Because there are 10 songs on the album. There are 3 new things on it.
Okay, 10 on the album.
The 3 new, it's Lindsay, it's Jake, and then is it your parents?
It's my dad and my sister.
So your dad and your sister are covering your song.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not fully a cover because it's using like stuff that I did too. The idea was for, you know, all 3 of them are kind of like collaborations.
Yeah.
But lead vocals and some instrumentation by my dad and my sister.
What does your dad play?
He plays guitar on this recording, but he's a hell of a banjo player. He's a bluegrass musician, and I grew
so
up.
This motherfucker can pick.
Oh, dude, he's a much better musician than I am.
Sure.
Okay, so why did you clip this bird's wings and not let him do what he does best on his boys' album?
Honestly, this song, he had been kind of like ever since that he'd heard that song because he's doing Angel's Eye. He was always just like, I might cover this someday, and I was like, I hear you say that about a lot of things. Like, you should actually do it. And then, which to be fair, he does often. He does eventually do these things, but this seemed like a great excuse to give him a deadline for it. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to do this? Like,
what did your sister play?
She sings. So on the album, you know, one of the reasons I wanted them to do it is because that song it's a duet. Even though I just kind of like sang the 2 parts, so I thought it'd be cool for their.
You're singing both parts on that song, the original one.
Yeah,
one of them sounds like a chick, though, bro. You already know that, right?
Yeah. No, that was
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to it this morning. I was like, "Who is this beautiful girl singing?"
It's just,
but it's Nate.
Yeah.
How did you use technology to change that, or was it all in the mental?
Kind of. The program that I used to record has a speed knob that functions like a speed knob on a tape machine. So if you slow it down a little bit to record the vocals.
Crank it
Then
up
you
a
can
little bit.
speed them up and sound a little higher.
Like how they film music videos, so you go like this.
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of bands that I like that utilize that stuff a lot. Like Ween does that a lot. I mean, like pretty much all of like Sgt. Pepper, the album, is like sped up a little bit like that.
Feels very Ween-like.
You a big Ween guy, Nate?
I think that Ween was like the final evolution of rock and roll, and everything since then has been a reflection of something else that has already happened.
I've never been able to understand Ween, but I know people like you, and they're also very prolific. There's a lot of music to take
definitely.
in.
It makes me jealous that I was never Ween-pilled. I mean, I knew the Ween songs when I was, a kid in the 90s, and their iconic album covers with the under boobs, all that shit. It was cool. But the people who I respect in terms of musical taste that are Ween heads, I'm jealous. It's like somebody who's able to eat. It's like people who can appreciate these rare wines, or like when you go get sushi and they're like, this is like the fucked up like liver from this weird fish and I eat it. I'm like,
It is
that. Except I'm showing you songs from the pod or something. Like,
I mean, Ween is to me like another version of like The Dead or The Fish or something, where it's like people fucking love it and I just don't get it.
I mean, there are a lot of fun elements that like made me aware of Ween back in the day. It wasn't until a couple years ago that I kind of clicked for me, just like from like a songcraft perspective, how advanced they are. To me, they're essentially like the Steely Dan of the 90s, where they have their own thing going on. That it seems like their own secret world that no one else will fully understand.
That's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I totally agree. They're like in their own world and it works.
And then in like the year 2045, we'll all be like, oh yeah, Ween. We should have known. Like we'll all catch up and eventually understand that Ween is God. But on your song Two Legs, I was listening to that. Maybe high, maybe not. And I was like, you sound like Elliot Smith on this song. What is your Elliot Smith diet?
I really...
In terms of consumption of his music, not what he was eating and drinking.
Yeah.
I'm on the Elliot Smith diet right now. R.I.P. me.
Yeah. These days, I don't find myself listening to him that often, but he was like a crucial discovery for me in high school.
Yeah.
I had a friend burn a CD for me. I think it was Figure 8.
Yeah.
And that kind of like blew my mind.
Mind equals blown. You kind of have a Elliot Smith haircut too, bro.
I had tender feelings that you made hard, but it's your heart, not mine, that's scarred. So when I go home, I'll be happy to go. You're just somebody that I used to know.
Dude, I need a haircut so bad. I keep telling myself that I'm gonna get one, and then all of a sudden it's just like 3 months later.
I feel like
I used to. Okay, so I don't want to let my hair get too long because it crosses a point. So a long time ago, like decade ago, when I was in my early 20s, I had hair like down to here and like a big fucking beard. I looked like a
wizard ass motherfucker.
Yeah, but more like Allman Brother type.
Okay, all right. All right.
Okay.
Actually, that's funny. That's where I was going to go. I was thinking more Southern Fried.
Southern Fried. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this look right now is the reined in version. This is the after of your Queer Eye makeover from what you were looking like before.
Yeah. This is about as long as it needs to get these days. I don't want
I feel like there's probably someone in your circle that like works at a nice hair salon that would love to give you a touch up.
No, I have a friend who is a
hair artist.
A hair artist who is very expensive.
We have to speak
unless
Ridgewood.
I just go to his apartment, and then it's like very chill and
yeah,
I think I know for it. So
no, bro, you're a rock star. Make him come to bedside. The real luxury in life, one of life's great luxuries is a haircut at home. I have not reached that pinnacle yet, but I can see it in my future.
I've done that before, but it wasn't like a fancy thing. It was just the person didn't have anywhere to cut.
It was more of a DIY style project.
Yeah, it was like a
sure.
like it was 11 a.m. We were both drunk type thing.
You had to sweep up the hair, but you still got a haircut at home.
I cleaned it up myself for sure.
I know this is an audio podcast, so our listeners can't see your hair, but I feel like you have the hair of when you are hanging out with these hair artist types. People will come up to you and kind of touch it and admire it and covet it of like, oh, I would love to, oh my God, I'm so jealous of your hair, of your whatever it is. You probably get that a lot, right?
It's happened. It's not a constant thing, but
no, it's not constant.
He's so humble, Jason. He's not going to.
But I'm just saying, these artists will look at your hair as like, oh, that's one of those good canvases that money can't buy. You can't do a tutorial to get your hair looking like that. It's just in you, You
just gotta wake up like it.
What's your washing cycle?
What's
your
like
washing cycle?
Honestly,
he's like, next question. Let's go pay
I
some
haven't
bills.
put anything other than water in my hair for like 12 years. Like it's really strange.
12 years. Water from your hair for 12 years?
Water from your hair.
Water in your
oh like or I guess with exception, I've like every once in a while I'll be like, I should like shampoo my hair, and then it turns me into just like a sheepdog. All my hair just like lies down super flat, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do with this.
You need those natural oils to give you the flavor.
So you go get a haircut like once a year, and then before that haircut you don't think to yourself, maybe I should wash my hair before the artist?
No, it's been washed.
Okay.
Like in situations like that. I guess the thing for me is like if I wash it and then I'm not really good at washing it, it gets way, way greasier.
When you mean really good at washing it, do you mean thorough, or is there like a technique that you're speaking of specifically?
I don't know. If shampoo or anything goes in there, it just like amps up the grease production, essentially, I guess. So like,
it's like creatine for the grease.
Yeah.
Just really gets pumping.
It always feels like weird for like a week after.
Yeah. No,
this is exactly the kind of life upgrade that I've been trying to make in sobriety, and every once in a while I'm just like, that would probably be a good thing.
It was Easter, 420, Earth Day. April 22nd, shampoo day.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
So every year it's time to wash my hair again.
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
I'll fill it on my Google Calendar.
Yes, I mean these are the milestones. Speaking of weed, I wanted to talk to you, about what your weed style was. What kind of gas you were smoking on, strains, types, what style of stoner you were.
I'm constantly exhausted all the time, so I'm a sativa person, if anything.
Okay. Bongs, blunts, bubblers.
It kind of depends. So I was never a spliff guy until I moved to New York, and then I became pretty much like,
you're a spliff star.
I was a spliff star. So it was like I'd essentially just alternate cigarettes and spliffs and smoke constantly throughout the day.
Okay.
In my room. I don't smoke in my room anymore.
Okay.
That's a big step.
I decided that is a big
#growth, baby. What's your brand of cigarette?
I'm a Marlboro guy.
I don't know what that is.
Marlboro Red.
Oh! I thought you said. I'm sorry. I thought you said Marlboro-ette, like a dancer, and I was like,
Marlboro-ette.
I don't know what that is.
It's a new Capri
Marlboro Red. Are you from Virginia?
I did live in Virginia for a while growing up, actually.
Funny you should ask.
What is it? Is it in Richmond where all the Philip Morris stuff is? Yeah. Not that I was kind of I was close to DC, but not close enough to DC that it was like an immediate like.
Were you in cigarette Virginia or Indian guy Virginia? There's two different paths. You know what I mean?
I was a weird middle school, mid-Atlantic kind of Virginia. So I used to, after school, I would blow off steam by throwing my lacrosse ball against the back of Stonewall Jackson's house.
Okay, I know that you're speaking in literal terms, but that sounds like a cryptic lyric.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Bright Eyes lyric.
It really does. That's really good. That's really really good.
It was strange.
Okay, so you would go to Stonewall's duplex.
There was a field across the street from me. I would walk down this alley. It's like a field I would like throw footballs in and stuff. And
a throwing
one
field.
of the buildings bordering it was just Stonewall Jackson's house museum thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more shocked that you were a lacrosse player.
Yeah, in middle school. I mean, it's Mid-Atlantic. I mean, that shit was everywhere.
Did you smoke? Were you smoking cigarettes yet or no?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I started smoking cigarettes pretty much at the beginning of like high school.
That's a smart time to start, I would say.
It felt like, I mean, that's when you start.
It feels right.
Not too early, not too late.
Yeah, it feels natural. No one can judge you for that. That's like what people do.
Yeah, I feel like if you're middle schooler smoking, then that's like gonna set off some.
Then it's like, oh, there must be trouble at home.
100% trouble at home.
Smoking at high school, you're like, oh, you're a cool chick. You're probably a fun person to hang out. Smoking in middle school, you're like, oh.
My sports time and my smoking time did overlap like throughout high school.
Seems to be a theme for your entire life.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you have other sort of like reward systems in place for productivity?
Not really.
Like if Daddy does the push-ups, you get the cigarette. But for something else, like if I finish a song, I can get an ice cream.
The situation is different now because now if I make an album that's good and I turn it in, I get paid for it. I never used to make any money.
That's a super big deal. That's a big difference.
That's the reward. The reward system now is that I do my job and I am given money with which to survive. And
I just love like you're meeting with your manager or record label and like, all right, if you record an album and it's good, we'll give you money for it.
Yeah.
How does that sound, Nate? You like that?
Where do I sign?
But it has to be good.
It's kind of like free money because I feel like I'm like doomed to make it's going to be like a focus for me anyway. So
you're going to be doing this shit regardless. So it's mailbox money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's truly the way you should be doing it. That means you're an actual artist. Not like us.
It's a better outlook. No, I only do things for money. And Nate, hopefully you get there one day.
We'll see.
We'll see how much growth we can have, but like, well, hopefully one day you can be like us, where you hate everything and only do stuff for money because you have to.
Yeah,
as long as there's a brand involved that we align with.
Yeah, of course.
Speaking of last week question, I was at Coachella hanging out with a friend and a fellow musician, and he said that he would stop smoking weed if the nightmares didn't happen. What is your marijuana nightmare relationship?
Yeah, I mean, weed really helps with it. I generally have like kind of wacko night terrors. Not as bad as I used to.
Okay.
But in the period of time when I had just like it was really gnarly right after I quit drinking in particular, I would get like sleep paralysis every night. Like I understand why people like thought they were possessed back in the day because that shit like is terrifying and like the faceless thing creeping towards you and whatnot.
Hell no.
The demon is real.
Yeah. It was horrible. I never wanted to go to sleep because I knew if I did, I would just like watch this thing happen. It would always just like, I would watch it come up to the front of the bed and then like go down underneath the bed.
Oof.
And then like, I got pretty good at waking myself up from them because like, when you're in that like half dreaming, half awake state, whatever, there's like chemical that keeps you from actually moving around when you're dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that just isn't making its way to where it needs to go. But if you like wiggle your fingers and the tips of your toes, it can speed up the process a little bit. But the big one is sleeping on your side. If I fall asleep on my back, it still happens to me sometimes.
It'll still happen.
Yeah, it's like down a lot, but I get a couple like I think at this point it's like 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
I'll do like the screaming.
Come visit.
They're moaning more like just in your sleep, and like all it takes is someone like touching you. It's just like, yo, you're screaming.
Yeah.
Did you warn your girl about this before
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay.
No,
you let
I
it out.
also
Okay.
there was a period of time where I would warn anybody I was touring with and anybody we were like crashing with about it. I would have to be like, it's a little awkward, but like if you hear me like fucking screaming in the middle of the night, like don't worry about it.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. I know we're at in your parents' basement and they might get alarmed, but just let them know.
We
that it's
listen
all
to your
good.
music. We kind of assume that you would be doing that.
It's not super surprising to us.
Be odd if you didn't.
Yeah.
I was actually with your bandmate this weekend.
Oh, no shit.
We had dinner, yeah, and they told me about the Interpol stuff, which I wasn't aware of, and 120,000 people is a big crowd.
That was fucking spooky.
We talking about the band, or are we talking about the government agency?
Yeah, they opened for Interpol, and it was like they were telling me that you had a full-on police escort and shit.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Well, it was at the Zocalo, like in the middle of Mexico City, like by the old pyramids and stuff. And I don't know, that was such like a kind of like a fever dream. That was like almost like it was like too much to process in the moment.
Okay, so you open for Interpol in Mexico City.
Yeah,
and they're famously
Huge.
One of those bands that can draw gigantic crowds over there.
It was a giant free show too.
Oh, whoa, it's free.
Okay.
Yeah,
you still got paid though, I hope.
Yeah, we got paid.
Okay,
it was
good,
like
good.
It was like
sure.
put on by the government or something. I can't remember exactly what the context was.
It was put on by Interpol.
Imagine if Donald Trump was like, "We're doing a concert for America in D.C. I'm going to get Interpol and Water from Your Eyes to kind of set this shit off."
There's a lot of goth Latinos, so it does make sense to subsidize that. Keep you guys happy.
Interpol, Water from Your Eyes, Kid Rock would be the lineup. And I mean, I've seen worse lineups. I've seen worse.
But I think the good part about that is like I saw footage of Coachella happening here in LA, which is famously a pretty vapid town, and there'll be like the problem with pairing, like a disco DJ right before like a gangster rap act or something like that. You'll have a bunch of people just standing there like pissed off, throwing shit at the opener. But I feel like when you're opening for Interpol, most of those 120,000 people are there for Interpol, I'm assuming, and not so much for you. But they were probably very, I mean, I'm sure you had some fans, but they were probably very
receptive,
welcoming and receptive to you.
They really were. I mean, that was pretty trippy. I mean, that concert, I feel like we actually reached a lot of people, especially in terms of shows we played opening for Interpol, because we've done tours with them where their fans have not liked us very much.
Okay.
You know what's funny? Is Interpol fans.
Let's name some cities, brother. Let's name some cities.
Interpol fans are literally Jason and I, like it's our age group, like early 40s. Like we were doing coke with them in the early 2000s, and I can only imagine some of the blowback that you received.
There was for a long time, if you Googled Water from Your Eyes, all the stuff that would come up was like people hating on Water from Your Eyes.
r/Interpol?
In the Interpol subreddit. There was one I remember that was just like,
I got a babysitter for this?
Yeah, well, it was like a lot that were being like, yo, like, don't show up early to these shows. This opening band is like unlistenable.
This happens to us whenever we have a big guest. If you check their Reddit, they're like, all right, the interview starts at, these guys are so annoying. Fast forward through the first 15 minutes and then you'll get to the interview.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they go, how are things on the West Coast? And they're going,
the funniest one on that tour. So the first time we toured with them, it was us, Spoon, and Interpol. And there was a brief split where we had one show with just Spoon and one show with just Interpol. And maybe in an outside way, us opening for Interpol made sense. But at the time, too, like we didn't have live drums or a second guitar. It was just me, Rachel, and a laptop. Me pressing play on the laptop and just making like
47-year-old guys love that
horrible noise on guitar, just like. But we ended up, so our show opening for just Spoon was at the fucking Ryman in Nashville, and So
like they saw you loading in and like two guys like quit on the spot, like two stage handlers, like I ain't doing this shit. Hell no.
Winona Judd came backstage and knocked on the door and said, "You got to go."
I'll just never forget it. Just all these people like sitting down, like families there to see Spoon, and we were like, we should dress up for this. So we like got all dressed up and went out and opened with like a 12-minute long noise loop, and just like everyone was just like kind of like covering their ears, and we sold one item of merch at that show. And this
just
guy
so they could burn it on TikTok.
Yeah, this guy was just like, "Hey, like that was so cool. Like I felt like I was like in a basement in Boston or something."
Cool. Okay.
I was like,
You're like, all right, I guess I'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Enjoy your T-shirt.
That's really funny.
I mean,
that's really
no
funny.
shade to Spoon, but they kind of make music for Oldsmobile commercials. But you know, it doesn't seem like a great pairing.
I don't think us opening for Spoon would have ever happened in any other context other than it being that
Spoon
is
Spoon has 3 or 4 really good songs, but it's like record store employee music. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. That's what I think of.
No need to comment on your end, Nate. We can do all the shit talking.
No, I say, well, so that was actually like a really funny thing about that tour, because I wasn't particularly familiar with either band's music at the time, but Interpol, I knew what they sounded like, and I realized that's because they have like a very, very particular sound that was like established from the very beginning,
and it stayed. Yeah, it's very consistent.
Spoon sounds like indie rock.
Well, Spoon's funny because I was like, the first time I watched them, I was like, well, now I'll know what Spoon sounds like, and then I realized I knew like pretty much every song they played, but just had no idea that they were Spoon songs or even like songs by the same band. And it was just funny because that tour, it was like two like totally opposite things, where they were also Interpol songs that I had never heard before, but I like essentially had, because like they like work in such a focused way.
Yeah,
but that tour was interesting for that reason. It was two very different things.
Look, I think you have a good outlook on it.
Well, it seems like you have I got one more question. Okay. You have a deep relationship with mid-level television on Hulu and Amazon and things like that. And I was making a joke at the beginning of the pod referencing electronic producer Zed performing the Severance theme song at Coachella with like an orchestra, and then like a couple years ago, like DJs would play like the White Lotus theme song at the club and people would go crazy. If you were to cover a television theme live, what would it be? Can't say Preacher.
Voyager. Star Trek
Voyager.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm rewatching it right now, so that's what I'm thinking about. I watched all of, I guess not including, because now it's different.
Man, you're a TV junkie. I like this about you, Nate.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time watching TV. I love the old Star Trek. I like the new Star Trek too, but like there's a very stark difference between like pre and post J.J. Abrams Star Trek, where now it's like the TV shows all feel like a movie, whereas it was all like very kind of like
episodic before.
Well, it felt like plays, like they were all like stage actors and stuff, so it's different.
Yeah.
That original Star Trek up all the way up through the Scott Bakula one.
Not Bakula.
I've watched
first Bakula mention on How Long Gone Ever. So congratulations.
You know, speaking of Reddit, it's funny. I typed in Star Trek Voyager theme song, the very first Google hit. Star Trek Voyager has an amazing theme song. I love the theme song, especially in the highs. I can imagine it being an anthem.
It's a great one.
So it is an anthemic song. I'll play it in the episode, don't worry. But I think this is going to be your, for Bandcamp Friday or some record store day.
Record store day next year. We'll do
Get
a 7-inch.
Star Trek, plasma green 7-inch. This is going to be sick, bro.
Sounds awesome.
What kind of water do they drink in Star Trek? Phasers from your eyes, some shit like that. We're thinking outside the box right now.
Got him. All right, Nate. Thank you for joining us. I love the Lorelei record. I think it's great. I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
And thanks so much, Jill.
Hopefully we'll see you soon, man. We appreciate your time.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bob.
Peace.